That
Cool.
cool now?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Nelson. Yeah, today I just wanted to speak a little bit about three of my venues in Hong Kong and how I kind of started with this journey and just maybe a little inside tips on opening up a restaurant. We have three venues under Common Abode, which is my hospitality group in Hong Kong. One of the restaurants called Club Rangoon. It's a Burmese restaurant, and me being from Burma, that was one of our first venues that we opened around over 2 years ago. And then a little while after, we opened up Yen, which is a Nordic cafe. And then afterwards, we opened up Candor, which is a hip hop cocktail lounge. Obviously, with the current situation with COVID and everything, the past 2-3 years have been quite challenging for the F&B industries with a lot of travel restrictions, a lot of dining restrictions, especially being in Hong Kong. I think just a few tips on getting into the industry and opening up a restaurant. Because when I first opened Club Rangoon 2.5 years ago, I didn't have any experience. Obviously, I dined out a lot. I ate out a lot. I understood what a good service I was getting, what a good dining experience was. But obviously, behind the scenes of opening a restaurant, I had absolutely no idea. So, Club Rangoon came just purely from passion of me wanting to serve Burmese food. So when I was going to open, I also realized that I couldn't run this big of an operation if I didn't seek any help from the seasoned people in the industry. So that was the one of the first things I really kind of reached out to. I wanted to work with people who have been in the industry, who knew everything, how to, from top to bottom, and kind of learn from them rather than me just diving right in and being like, oh, I know this, I know that. So which was really important because in a restaurant there's a lot of things going on at all times. Like every team, from like the front of house people, from the kitchen, everything needs to be gelling together to make this work. And with I would say with our generation of restaurateurs compared to what restaurateurs might be 20-30 years ago, I think we are very different. We're eager, we want to be involved with everything. We want to be informed. We're always on our phones. We're checking what's the new update, which restaurant's opening, oh, this place is doing that. So I think we're all very enthusiastic about the industry, whether it be doing food from your own country. You see a lot of cafes. I think just this generation of restaurateurs are very enthusiastic with the F&B industry, which is great as well. But sometimes, obviously, you can get carried away with knowing that you can't do everything. And ideally, in opening a restaurant, there's a lot of things to do. So I think first things first, if you are completely new to that, really, really ask questions and learn from the seasoned industry people, because that was one thing that I did where I really learned a lot. Obviously without having to study. I mean, not saying to study, but going to a hospitality school, or it was just very practical, and which was a really good learning experience. And I think another thing with opening, especially 2-3 years ago, obviously the pandemic, I think that was really, really challenging. Like as with Club Rangoon, after opening, with the grand opening, right after 5 days, we had to close for dinner because of COVID. There was also a lot of rules and regulations. There's always changing. Suddenly there's no more dinner, so we had to really try and stay creative to adapt to different changes as well. But obviously, one thing that I learned throughout the pandemic is obviously to keep your team extremely lean, but obviously at the same time not letting the customers feel it. What we're trying to do now is to kind of create a team that can kind of multitask and own a whole zone. So like, for example, if you're front of the house and if you're just a server, you can also do reception, and also if the bar, if possible. So I think with opening a restaurant during the pandemic, it was really important that we kept the team lean and the team is trained in every way possible. At the end of the day, in this business, your team is the most important thing. That's your parts that keeps you going, and that's your eyes and ears if you're not there all the time. Yeah, I think creating these restaurants, even with the three venues, another thing I learned is that creating a restaurant is not like a, what do you call it, like a production line. That's like, you create a mold and then it produces and it does it automatically. Like it's a different performance every single day. There's so many moving pieces, like I said, from the kitchen, from, there could be different errors. It's different every single day, and it's no two restaurants are the same, right? Like it's just very an industry where it's just, you are kind of doing the same thing every day, in terms of, service and the level of service, but it's never the same as well. So I mean, with us, we really, I mean, with all three outlets, we really keep a strong focus on our service. I think Hong Kong has a very competitive restaurant and dining scene. We wanted to really focus on our service, and especially even with Club Rangoon, we wanted to show more, just more than a coming in here to eat and then leave. It's more of an experience that we really want to push on your dining experience. Like, let's say if someone comes to Club Rangoon, they don't know anything about Burmese culture, Burmese thing, and they took something, it could just be from a photo on a wall, and then they learned something about Burma. I think that's a win for us. I think that, we've always also believed that the best way to kind of know a country is to eat their food. And there's always stories, connected to what food, what dish. And I think our team is always, very eager to explain about where this dish comes from, why are we doing this, why are we serving this, where is this recipe. So I think it's a very, also a learning experience when you're coming to a cuisine that's not really well known. Yeah, I think with us, exactly, it's really important to keep your team, happy as well. Of course, during these times, there's a lot of variables of this can happen, that can happen. It's I think especially within the 2 years, there was a lot of challenges on what we can and what we can't do. But I think overall, with this industry, I obviously started this with as an entrepreneur being. I don't really want a 9 to 5 job. Like now it's become 24/7 for me pretty much, but it's amazing. I love it. It's everything about Club Rangoon, about Yam, about candor. Even with Club Rangoon, going in there to see kind of people enjoying the food that where you're from, and actually enjoying it, and it's like, wow, this is great. I've never had it. I think that's a different type of joy and pleasure that comes out of it. And yeah, I think if anyone is trying to get into the industry, I think obviously it takes a while for you to really understand all the moving parts. But once you understand it, and obviously as a leader, you can really take charge and take a lead on what you see is fitting, and assigning different roles for different team members. Yeah.